practice, we have to debate whether or not we're going to set our car up to run a long time on hot tires, or we're going to set it up to run short little sprint races along the way. And you really have to make a choice. You can set the car to go short distances and be a little bit faster. But if you get on a long run where you're stuck about 200 laps on a set of tires, you can find yourself getting lapped. So it really is critical. Those decisions are really made during the week. And we usually choose to make the car run as long as we can on a set of tires, especially with the new tire rule. And at Bristol the other week, it was working for us. Everything was going great. The only thing that we didn't count on was that caution right at the end of the race. Whether or not we changed left sides or right sides, I really don't think it was really as critical as maybe as it looked like. We lost the race, but I'm not so sure it wasn't the tire change as much as it was the way we had our car adjusted.
Ricky Rudd in the Budmore-prepared Motorcrop Camelot Ford. He's 11th in the Winston Cup point standings going into this race. His finish last year here in this race was 3rd, and he was 6th in the fall race here at North Wilkesboro last year. Bobby Allison continues to lead, and Bobby Hillen is in for a stop. He was black flag, and our indications are that the rear end might be going out of that car.
Well, Jake Suitcase Elder, left this team this week. And talking with Bobby earlier this weekend, he said that, well, it was Jake's decision. Ron Purrier, who primarily works on the engines, is serving as crew chief.
Down here in Bobby Hillen's pit, one crew member is directly behind the rear axle. He's checking the rear end over, and they're looking to see the condition and see if they can follow where the grease is coming from. They've got the car up on the jack. Bobby Hillen remains in the car. Now they've rolled out from underneath it. They're going to drop the jack and send him back in.
Bobby Hillen moving back out onto the racetrack to resume his competition in the Northwestern Bank 400, where Bobby Allison is leading right now, with Kyle Petty running 2nd, then Terry Labonte. Jeff Bodine is 4th, and Ricky Rudd is in 5th. 11th place is Darrell Waltrip. 6th place is Darrell Waltrip. In 7th position is Dale Earnhardt. 8th is Harry Gant. 9th is Ron Bouchard. And 10th is Bill Elliott. There's the leader, Bobby Allison.
Now remember, Allison is one of only those 4 people who have ever won races here at North Wilkesboro who are in today's starting field. Of course, Richard Petty and Darrell Waltrip are 2 of the other 4. This guy, Bobby Allison, is a 3rd. And Tim Richmond, who has only won 1 time. That was that relatively, I guess you'd call it a surprise victory in this race last year. But I think Bobby Allison is really demonstrating as to how much experience really means here at North Wilkesboro.
Allison passing Buddy Arrington in the Ford. A lot of track improvements have been made here since we visited last at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina Speedway. And along with that, NASCAR and ESPN present a Track Fact.
Here's a visit with an old friend here in North Wilkesboro. Somebody by the name of Ray Call back in 1977 christened it, but it's been around a long time. This heavy equipment tire here at the bottom of turn number 4. Through the years, it has received and absorbed a lot of impacts from drivers. It used to protect them from a corrugated steel wall on the bottom of this turn, but now the crews here at North Wilkesboro have replaced it with the more predictable and dependable hard concrete.
Track Facts are back at the Northwestern Bank 400. 92 laps have been completed. We're nearing the 1/4 mark of this 400-lap race, with Bobby Allison from Hueytown, Alabama, leading the race. And ever since being champ of the Winston Cup division back in 1973, well, he hasn't tasted particularly good success. Jack Arute, is there a new optimism down there in the Bobby Allison pit because of his performance so far today?
Well, Bob, remember one thing. Bobby Allison is one of the few drivers that revels in the heat. Cold is what bothers Bobby Allison as a driver. So from an athletic standpoint, Bobby's quite happy with the weather. The crew, there is some optimism there. They tend to think that maybe they've gone the right direction. The thing to remember, however, is the fact that temperature, as we've talked so much, could have an effect upon tires. Now, what we've done, Bob, is we've made a quick polling with some crew chiefs, and the first set of tires that came off during that caution period on some of the teams were running temperature-wise at about 270 degrees. Now, normally they should run about 240 degrees. So I asked them what that meant, and they said it means that the track is loosening up. It's getting slick. So what we'll probably see in the next round of pit stops are some rounds of bite, as they call it, going into the rears of the car where they jack the weight to the back.
We will watch for that next time we have a series of pit stops on the racetrack. Jeff Bodine, Neil Bonnet, and also Darrell Waltrip are out there battling for position. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th. And apparently flag came out has all been corrected. Neil Bonnet is in 6th spot.
Yeah, he really is. He goes to the inside of Jeff Wadine. Remember, Bob, that the longer this race runs under a green flag, if Neil Bonnet has an overheating problem, that works to that team's advantage. But Neil has really recovered nicely because he not only lost a lot of ground on the racetrack because of what we thought to be a vapor lock earlier in the race, but he had that near collision with teammate Darrell Waltrip during that set of pit stops that followed the yellow flag therein. But Neil is really coming on now, and he seems to be running almost as quick, maybe quicker, than his teammate Darrell Waltrip. Jack, what's the prevailing thought down there?
Well, Larry, what they at first thought was an overheating problem indeed is a vapor lock problem. And as it was explained to me by Tim Brewer, the team manager, is all of the heat building up inside the cowling of the car is running right against all of the fuel lines. They're not insulated, and that's beginning, especially under extended caution periods, to increase the heat of the fuel. And that's the problem, not overheating in terms of water temperature.
Waltrip is in trouble. Waltrip in trouble, slowing dramatically in turn 3. The car just seemed to quit running on him. He's very slow, and smoke is coming out of the cockpit.
Bob, it's not really coming out of the exhaust, I don't believe, so it doesn't appear to be necessarily a blown engine because the smoke is pouring right back inside the cockpit. He lost power almost immediately. The car slowed down significantly. We will not go under yellow because I don't see any type of liquid or precipitation falling out of the car of the racetrack, but this is costing Darrell dearly. And he stays out, Bob.
Yeah, and he was running in heavy traffic when that occurred, too, and all of a sudden the car just seemed to die. The car quit running very sharply, and it took a lot of good driving with the drivers behind him to avoid running into him. But Darrell Waltrip is staying out there. We'll see if he can get that car back up to speed and into competition, but for right now, things are not looking good for Darrell Waltrip. 8 wins here at North Wilkesboro.
Well, Bob, one of the theories up here is power steering pump. You know, it's right underneath the, what you might call the dashboard, right underneath the windshield on the car. It obviously operates hydraulically. There's fluid in there. And with the smoke coming from right underneath the back part of the hood, there's a possibility that the power steering pump might have gone out. Now, we've seen already this year on ESPN broadcast that one driver can certainly muscle this car the entirety of the race without power steering. If that indeed was the only problem, once it solves itself, the smoke going away, Darrell can work immediately back up to speed.
We talked about the frustrations that Bobby Allison has had since being the champion of the Winston Cup division in 1983. Here's Jack Arute to talk with him.
Racing for the Miller team this year has been really a fluctuation type deal. It's been a good day and then a bad day, and then vice versa, back and forth. Has it been frustrating to the entire team, not just to Bobby Allison?
Well, I'd say that we've had one of those seasons so far that really leaves us scratching our head and wondering. We've run so good on several occasions, and we've had problems. But we have to keep working and just keep on. And I've been through it before, and everyone on the crew has been through it before, and we know that this is part of racing. We hate to accept it, but it's a fact. And so we just continue to do our best job and hope we work our way out of the hole.
Right now, Bobby Allison on the point as he is the leader. New 3rd place is Neil Bonnet in car 12. Terry Labonte slips back to 4th spot, still running in 2nd with an outstanding performance in the first quarter of this race. Kyle Petty, there's a look at Neil Bonnet.
Well, Bob, Neil told me earlier this week if I can just keep from crashing, I'm going to be, well, heck on wheels. He says, it seems to me like I either win or run up front or crash. But today, Neil certainly has not crashed, and boy, has that car been performing the last 20 or 30 green flag laps.
More than a fourth of the way through this race, and the average speed is 91.575 miles an hour. We've had 3 leaders in this race. Darrell Waltrip led through lap 54. Then Ken Schrader led for 4 laps, and Bobby Allison has taken over the lead. He took over the lead on lap number 59 and has led ever since. 2 yellows, one because of an accident involving Eddie Burschwale and a mechanical problem involving Buddy Baker. We'll be right back with more live coverage from North Wilkesboro. There he is. Neil Bonnet running right ahead of Kyle Petty, so now Kyle is in 3rd spot.
And he may be in 3rd spot, but you know, Bob, there is something to be said about race pace, about running as fast as you want to do, particularly in the early stages, first half of a race. Remember, we're going to go 400 laps here. We haven't even got to the halfway point yet. And Kyle Petty could be one of those people running exactly the way he wants to run. There you see him swinging the car up wide, or actually leaving the car slide up high as they're trying to work their way through some of the people they're lapping. Following Neil Bonnet through, they dive down low going into turn number 3. Kyle taking that middle lane. There's Bobby Hillin on his left. Bobby's had his problems today. He's not running nearly as fast as he would like to, but at least he's still out there. Moving up to J.D. McDuffie. You can see Kyle moving right up on J.D. There is the ultimate in trust. I'll tell you, a couple of real professional race drivers racing at better than 100 miles an hour within just, well, slight inches of each other.
Unbelievable shots from Kyle Petty's car on the North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Bob, the other thing that it shows is that just how close to being out of control a professional race driver really is all the time. It's not an optical illusion to see the car almost swishing back and forth. It's warm out there. As Buddy Baker said, it's not nearly as bad as they all kind of anticipated, but when you're going at these speeds on a smooth, paved, half-mile racetrack, or certainly any track larger, the car doesn't really steer. You kind of point it. You have to anticipate every 50, 100, 200 feet in front of you. So that slight moving back and forth, that almost seems like an airplane flying. That's probably much more close to the sensation that you have when you're racing than when you're on the street car, because you can feel every little movement of the steering wheel.
Now, Dave Marcus moving high on the straightaway, and as you can see him point to the inside and say, Kyle, you go right ahead. This will be an opportunity for me to get myself on the air, perhaps. Dave Marcus being lapped. He is in 16th position right now. Kyle Petty setting the car back down into the corner.
Bob, you can also see that Kyle didn't really struggle to get by Dave, but it didn't happen with rapid-fire succession. And there again, we're getting back to this tire situation in this racetrack. Keep in mind, it's very dynamic. It can change rapidly, and one pit stop can completely change the complexion of your race car.
Bobby Allison moves off of corner number 4. We're going to see the difference in lap times between Bobby Allison. We've got the clock started on him. We'll time this lap, and then next time around, we'll time Neil Bonnet to see if Bonnet is indeed faster than Bobby Allison. Now, there is Tim Richmond, who is going down a lap. Remember, Tim spun early in the race on lap number 15, I believe, and brought out a caution period. And at that time, almost lost a lap, but has now gone one lap down to the leader officially. 22.1 seconds is the time for Bobby Allison. That is 101.809. Compare that with a qualifying speed of 111 miles an hour. So they're actually running about 10 miles an hour slower in race traffic than they qualified. Now, here comes Neil Bonnet. He crosses the start-finish line and clicks off our electric timer, and we'll see how his time compares with Bobby Allison's. 22.1 seconds was Allison's. Now Neil Bonnet is negotiating turns number 3 and 4, out of 4 onto the main straightaway, and the clock stops at 21.7. So he is running a faster lap time than Bobby Allison.
I would suggest that both of them, however, are probably running just about where they would like to be at this stage of the race. Actually, many of the crews felt that because of the heat conditions on the racetrack, the actual race speed and time would end up being slower than what it is right now. So even though Neil is moving up, I remind you once again, we have a long, long ways to go. So Bobby Allison and Neil Bonnet, cars number 22 and 12, teacher and former protege, running 1-2. They're probably in a position where a lot of smiles going on right now, not only in the cockpit, but also down in the pit area.
Judy Allison is watching from the pit area. Her husband, Bobby, leading the race.
There's a little bit of a grin there, don't you think? Well, yeah, I think so.
Keeping the lap charts and making sure at least she is aware of where her husband is at all times on the racetrack. Judy Allison, and there is husband Bobby.
Well, here's something that perhaps Jack can comment on a little later. Another thing that I think helps Bobby Allison in a situation like this on a short track, Bob, is that Bobby races so much. He has raced under absolutely every condition conceivable to man. So no matter what the climate